I'm actually super excited right now to tell you this one because I should have done this long ago. A few years ago, I met a celebrity in my field whose work I've been looking up to well, for a long time. I met Dr. Morse and it was a kind of online interview for my book Vegan Beauty Makeover, and I'm going to tell you about it in a second. I'm so excited, but before that I have to not forget Simple Healthy Raw Vegan is coming out, and I've done a giveaway for you, so I'll link it below. And there's going to be another giveaway, so this is Wrinkles news. There's going to be a Goodreads giveaway for Forbidden Road, and I'll be talking about that in the Wrinkles newsletter, so I'll link that below as well. Okay, so this was originally meant to be one question interview just for the book, and I'm going to put the whole thing at the end of me talking about what it was like to do it. And the question was, so you have seen over 250,000 patients in hospitals and clinics and have saved people that had just a few weeks left to live and restored them to full health, which is amazing. But what surprised me when I first read your book and got introduced to this lifestyle is that it anti-ages. And you've seen cases of getting rid of wrinkles with people in their 80s and 90s.
Oh, yes.
And had mid-aged patients get their natural hair color back.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So what's your secret? We're going to talk about really briefly what I know about this, apart from his amazing answer, which is that wrinkles do come and go. It's part of how your internal organs work, and I've looked at a lot of Chinese maps, and that's really helped me understand it. And when it comes to white hair, there's this amazing woman, Leslie's New Prime, on YouTube, and all she ever does is read research on how to reverse white hair later in life, especially if it's caused by one of the categories that she talks about the most. One of them is anemia. I once lost a lot of blood in an injury, and I have done the reverse, and I actually put my protocol on how to do that on one of her videos, and she put it at the top of the page. And as we all know, there is something about this diet that does anti-age, and we see this with Marcus Rotkrantz and Cara Brotman. She's my hero. She's one of the first ever raw vegan chefs, and they're under the healthy life. Wow. Okay, here we go. It was a few years ago. Garbage collection. It was a few years ago, and it was just meant to be for that small question and answer. And we prepared it ahead of time, so I wrote him how I was going to present him and the question, and then he was prepared or what he was going to say, and he also made a few tweaks so that we were all agreed on what I say. Everything is ready. I'm out there now. This is someone whose work I've been following, who's written the book, the Detox Miracle source book. The first time I ever found out about this diet was through him and how to do it. I mean, I've been raw vegan since the day I discovered him, and he's about to come. Now, I have never, ever had any celebrity stuff, never had this, I was never one of these girls who went, ah! And then he showed up.
Oh my god!
And I was a total groupie. It's like, if you've ever seen girls at a rock concert, ah! And he laughed, of course, because it was funny. And it was such an amazing experience, and he must have really liked my approach and the way I did everything. We kept talking, and I got an hour private lesson with Dr. Morse, and I just asked him a lot of questions that I had. I asked him, like, what do you do with someone who's fructose intolerant because you work so much with fruit? Or what do you do, about fertility? Because this was before I became a mother, and I was quite stressed, what happens if I try and it's a problem? And he actually told me something really nice, because it was kind of relaxing. He said, oh, don't worry about it. Fertility is not a problem. You have years to go. I had a heart condition, so I was really scared. And I carried my baby for 9 months with that heart condition, thanks to Dr. Morse's herbs. I said to him, we talked after that, because I had an injury, same one I just mentioned before, and he helped me get my iron up. And I said to him, I owe you this baby, because I still have no idea how I went full term under the conditions. So yeah, this was something that I will remember for the rest of my life. It was such an experience. I now understand groupies. And yeah, without more introduction, let's hear his answer to the question, and after that you get the cake.
Okay, so think about this. There's only two sides of chemistry, right? And when you look at the world, it's dualistic. Creation is dualistic. There's only two sides to it. So when you look at chemistry, there's two sides to it. One is well known as the acid side, especially in the health field. And the other side is the base side, or we call it alkaline side. When you take a look at what breaks things down, like tissues and makes the hair gray and dehydrates and all that, that's always the acid side of chemistry. And so the alkaline side of chemistry is your electrolytes. It hydrates you. So both sides don't have the same effect. They have opposite effects. So in chemistry, the acid side of chemistry is dehydrating, and they call this side cationic. Means it's corrosive, but it's agglomerating, meaning things get hard, stiff, and tight. So you can feel that in your body when you work out. Sometimes you get stiff and hard. That's from acidosis. That's from creating all this activity, and activity creates more metabolism. And metabolitic waste in the human body is acidic. Well, when you take a look at foods, foods fall in the same category. There's a bunch of foods that are acid forming, and there are certain foods that are alkaline forming. Well, man just loves the acid forming foods. So you look at it, man eats predominantly acid forming foods. That's your proteins, your beans, your grains, your cooked dairy products and cheeses and things. And then on top of that, his body creates several pounds of acid waste from metabolism. So when you combine the two, people are just living in the acidic world, and then the air is getting acidic from all the byproducts of manufacturing and cars and things. So things are getting more and more acidic. Well, that's corrosive. That's inflammatory. So inflammation reigns through people all over the place. And then, of course, the kidneys shut down and tumors form and things like that. Well, that's what creates the wrinkles, because when you're acidic, that's corrosive and destroying to tissue. So then the body has to do something to fight that. And if it's not in the diet, then it has to take it out of the body. And the number one constituent that the body takes and uses is calcium. So a lot of the great universities around the world have discovered the calcium buffering system, which simply is that the body steals calcium out of its connective tissue and skeletal tissue to fight all this acidosis. And when that happens, you get bruising easy, you get varicose and spider veins, your skin wrinkles, you get prolapses. A lot of women, their uterus prolapses, bladder prolapses, your bowels prolapse, your skin, your eyelids, everything starts getting weak because the body's borrowing that calcium. Kind of like a mother who has a parathyroid weakness, doesn't utilize calcium in her own diet, doesn't even have it in her diet, and then she has a baby. And that baby starts stealing all her calcium, and then her teeth disintegrate, her bones disintegrate, because the baby needs the calcium. And of course, there's only one place to get it if it isn't in the diet. So when you take a look at that, fruits, berries, and melons and salads are your alkaline forming foods. Your beans, your grains, your pasteurized and processed foods are all acid forming foods. And man lives predominantly on acid forming foods. And so he gets more and more acidic. Well, you got pain, you got swelling, you've got tumors, you've got arthritis. It's all in the world of acidosis.
So how do you cure people? What do you do?
The simplicity of that is you walk on to the other side of chemistry. That's how simple it is. You cannot get well continuing down the acid side of chemistry, because you're going to see the same thing, but worse and worse and worse and worse. So your body gets, when you go to the other side of chemistry, you're now on the electrolyte, the hydrating side of chemistry. It's an anionic environment. Now your body starts hydrating and rebuilding itself. And when, as you were talking, you get on raw foods where they're not processed. You got fruits and berries and melons, which are more Homo sapien foods. And then you get some salads, but those are herbivore foods. The body starts hydrating and repairing itself. And then you see that every time. I could take a case, let's say, of Lou Gehrig's or MS that's in a wheelchair. They have brain lesions. They can't talk anymore. They can't walk, of course. They start getting mottled. That is a high state of acidosis. You can get them on the other side into a high level electrically of fruits and berries and melons, give them a few herbs to repair things, and pretty soon they're up walking, talking, and having a life again. And we've done that years and years and years.
That's amazing. And I think what surprises us is that this knowledge is not more prevalent, that it's
should be, because it's very simple, because there is only two sides of chemistry. Pick one. Well, each side has its own effect upon you. And so just studying a little of that shows you which side you should be on. Well, understanding a little bit about the food you eat helps a great deal to kind of close your case for you. And especially when you look at humans, they're frugivores. So a human is not a paleo. He's not a protein eater. He doesn't have hair all over him for cold climate survival. He's an islander. And a man originated as an islander. Homo sapien originated as an islander species, a primate species. And so when you move your diet to that, high fruits and berries and melons, the body starts cleaning and regenerating. The nervous system rebuilds, liver rebuilds and cleans itself. All these things start rebuilding themselves. When you see fatty livers and all types of inflammatory problems and lupus and Lyme's and all this, in reality, it's all a state of acidosis, different locations and different degrees. And you can fix it all by walking on the other side of chemistry.